Alright, so if you clicked on this video, it's likely that you're probably applying to Imperial and you might have an MMI coming up. And in that case, welcome. I'm Akshi. I'm a 4th year medical student at Imperial, and I started my MMI about 3 years ago, and things have changed quite a bit. But generally, the overarching principles of the MMI are exactly the same, and it's just the format that's really different since COVID struck. So today I want to talk a little bit about some of the key underlying principles that you might want to take with you, what you should be preparing, and also a couple of things to take with you on exam day. So if that sounds like a good idea to you, let's get straight into the video. So the first thing to address are the differences, and the main difference in the MMI, as you guys will probably know, is that you will be doing what's called an asynchronous interview. So I believe there are two parts to your interview, or your MMI. The first part is a recorded asynchronous MMI, so you're going to have some questions that are given to you, and you'll have a set period of time to answer those questions through a video format and submit them back into Imperial. Your second part will then be a live online interview through Teams or some sort of online video facility, and you'll be faced with an examiner and you will essentially run the MMI through that Teams format. So the actual interview itself is the exact same, it's just that you don't come to the campus, which may be a pro or con depending on what you prefer. For me, it would definitely be a pro because a lot of the anxiety comes with actually traveling in, sitting at the university, going around the thing, then going back home, and you can manipulate this and, you know, make it a lot easier for yourself if you practice at the same place you know you're going to do your interview. So if you're going to do your interview, for example, in the dining room, let's say, it probably makes most sense to practice in the dining room so that you're almost taking as much anxiety out of the situation as possible, because, you know, you're going to be practicing the exact same things that you're doing in the same location, so that when it comes to interview day, you will probably have done the same thing, you know, 15 times already. So that's one thing I'd recommend you do. In terms of what you wear, I would definitely still say to wear formal clothes unless you've been told that formal attire isn't necessary. I find it just easier to just slip on a shirt and a couple of formal trousers because it just makes it feel a little bit better. Yeah, I would still wear, you know, your bottom half formal as well in case you have to get up throughout the interview. It's going to be a little bit awkward if you're wearing like United shorts on or something like that. I would definitely still wear formal clothes across everywhere. Obviously you don't have to wear formal shoes now, but you can wear, you know, formal trousers, a belt, a shirt, or whatever you would prefer to wear. So yeah, that's kind of the basic admin out of the way. Let's talk about the interview itself. So at Imperial, there are normally around 8 stations that they'll test you, 7-8 stations, and they'll put these on the website, so it's very easy for you to access, and they're not trying to hide anything or spring any surprises on you. They tell you exactly what they're going to test you on. So the key is to prepare for each of these main themes. So for example, when you're preparing for a roleplay station, it's important to replicate the conditions of the MMI or the environment. When I say that, it's not only about replicating the type of questions that come up, but replicating the timing. So if you've got 7-minute stations, sticking to 7 minutes, taking it seriously, you're not stopping halfway through to check your notes, etc. It's all about being able to do it on the spot. When I say this, I don't mean be robotic. The key thing here is do not be robotic. You should be able to cover the same things in different ways. So if you're going to cover in your, let's say, work experience station, the fact that you learned about communication through spending 6 months at a charity for underprivileged children in a third world country, you want to deliver that in as many different ways as possible. So you want to cover the same idea of communication in that volunteering sort of thing that you did in different ways. So you should be able to come up with different sentences, different formats, different ways of saying it, so that when you come to interview, you're not reading a script, but you just have a couple of key ideas that you want to go over. That's a major thing that people mess up here. Too often people come into interviews with clearly a script revised, which is a big no-no, like you don't do that. What the best candidates often do is that they'll have a couple of key ideas in their head or a couple of key things that they want to pick out, and then they'll be able to rephrase that in different ways. So when you're practicing it, the reason why you're often told to practice several times is not to come up with a script, but it's to be able to come up with different ways of saying the same thing. So that's really the main thing that I want to say. And I'm spending a lot of time saying this because, in my opinion, that's the biggest thing to do at MMI, and that's what I kind of practice the most. The other thing is that Imperial really like volunteering. It's just something that they like. Really go into your volunteering, even if you only did one shift of volunteering, as in like one thing. So let's say you just did a retirement home, and that's actually quite a big thing to do, but let's say you only did that. It doesn't necessarily mean that you don't have much to talk about. You need to pick out what you got from it. In other words, you need to reflect. reflection is the biggest thing that you can do at MMI, and if you don't do any reflection, you pretty much have wasted your time. If there's one thing I want you to take away from this, it's to reflect on every experience that you did. So obviously in your personal statement you've written about several things, they may pick up on those things, or you may well have chosen to omit some things from your personal statement so that you can speak about them in MMI. It's entirely up to you. The key thing is whatever you're talking about is reflecting, and what you reflect on is the key themes of being a doctor. So things like communication, you're talking about how you learn about communication, teamwork, leadership, all these things have to come through something that you've done. So you learn teamwork through playing in a science team representing your school or whatever. Literally anything that you did, whatever you're talking about, these themes have to come through something you've done. So that is how you always frame your answer. Basically, that is the manual, the blueprint to an MMI. That's literally what they're looking for in literally 3 steps. Pick out something you've done, identify a common theme, and then say how you learnt that theme through the activity. Those are the 3 key things that you literally do for every station, and I guarantee you'll probably pass the MMI. Sounds easy, but it actually is a little bit difficult. If you try this on your own, it's kind of hard to frame each theme in something that you did and convince the interviewer that you learnt it. Now, aside from all this, there are a couple of other small things that I'd recommend you do. Number 1, learn about the university. Imperial always love asking about the university, so this is general to any uni you go to. Pick up on things like research, extracurricular, the location. These are kind of side things, but they can come up for like a 1-mark question. That's always a good place to pick up points because it's kind of guaranteed marks. Whatever you say, it's right. So there's no right or wrong answer here. And throughout the MMI, there's no right or wrong answer. It's about how you justify your arguments. And that is a very common theme you'll see through university and medical school. So that's one thing. Another thing is to be confident. The worst thing you can do is come to an MMI and be stuttering and be nervous. And obviously they appreciate you're going to be anxious, but I don't really see the point in anxiety because all you're doing is you're limiting yourself. You're taking marks off yourself. If you go in there confident, that's already like an extra mark for you because you just seem like you want this and you enjoy talking about it. And that's the easiest thing in the world to do. You're not even testing yourself. You just have to be confident. Even if you're faking confidence, that's what I did. I went in there super nervous, but I just literally pretended to know what I was doing and just went in there and pretended that I was meant to be there. That was literally what I did. I was really nervous, but the best thing to do is to just be confident. Put on a smile, be talkative, throw back questions at the interviewer, engage in conversations, make it feel like it's not an interview. Make it just, a discussion that you're having with somebody. That's the best thing you can do, I think, in terms of how you carry yourself. Aside from that, there's not really much else specific to Imperial, and the rest of these are things that you'll cover in the MMIs, individual stations, role plays, all these things are common to every university. So if you want more information on station-specific videos, I've made a video for each station, and they're interactive, so they go through various questions. You can have a look at them. I will stick them down below, but you can just click in my channel with the most recent videos we've uploaded. Apart from that, that's everything. If you've got any more questions about Imperial, you can always contact me at my Instagram. I'm happy to answer any questions. Aside from that, thanks for listening, and I'll see you all in the next video.